Welcome to Angie Lindo Dental Laboratory in Costa Rica. Today I bring you a tutorial on how to make a removable provisional prosthesis. We are going to replace an upper central tooth. And we are going to need wire, pliers, the choice of the tooth with the color that the doctor does not request. We are going to make the corresponding retentions. We are also going to need a separator, which we are going to put a layer on our plaster model to later do the blasting of liquid powder, and when separating the acrylic it's not going to stick to the plaster. That is very important that we do not forget to put the separator. We will start after it has dried the separator. We are going to make the ball or handle shaped hooks. We are going to use the 0.8 wire, and with the 139 pliers we are going to start bending the point in a circular way. Remember, for this type of hooks we are going to occupy 0.8 wire. We must hold the pliers with force to make a double hook or curve shape, and later with a flat plier we will give it a shape. Press and close it so that it is well closed, and that will help us that at the time of putting it between pieces he will hold and not hurt or scratch the patient's tooth. In this case we are going to make we made 2 ball hooks. You can see we are going to place the tooth with red wax. It is a sticky wax only at one end of the neck of the tooth to later achieve with the transparent powder and the liquid that we are not going to move the tooth to be replaced. Look at it there. It is important to work in a clean weight. Now let's wait for the separator to dry completely to start the blasting. In this case we are going to make we made 2 ball hooks. There you can see it. We are going to place the tooth with red wax. It is a sticky wax only at one end of the neck of the tooth, and then achieve with the transparent powder and the liquid that tooth is going to move them. Look at it there. We are going to place the tooth with red wax. It is a sticky wax only at one end of the neck of the tooth, and then achieve with the transparent powder and the liquid that tooth is not going to move them open. But look at it, there it is. Important to work in a way clean. Now let's wait for the separating to dry completely to start the acrylation. Well, the time has come after having built the hooks and placed the little piece as natural as possible. Red wax is the wax that is obtained from where the teeth tablets come from when you buy them, a very sticky red wax. Okay, we already have the hooks ready and the attached tooth, and what we are going to continue is to blast the pink acrylic over the cervical area and in the area where the tooth is with transparent acrylic. Then the tooth already has good retention so that it holds well, and I am going to start with the pink acrylic. I use monomer little by little, and then placing little by little powder and liquid material. We go a little bit so that the pink powder gets into the withholdings. We continue. This is a provisional prosthesis, so I do it with self-curing acrylic in liquid and powder. It polymerizes by itself. We must always take care of it so that it does not burn. I extend it in the cervical area. We cannot let it dry for a certain time because it burns, so that's why you see me putting droplets on it. When we already have that part, without losing sight of anything, we are going to continue with transparent acrylic. And why with transparent? The doctor requested it. And when it is a provisional, I like to do it in transparent so that the patient does not see the pink. It is for aesthetic reasons we are putting material. See how the pink part is still bright. But little by little it will lose its shine. That means that it is polymerizing there. This is my way with an eyedropper putting droplets. I wet the pink part again, allowing time for it to cover all the powder, and then put another layer on again. This time I did not design before with a pencil. It left me. I place another layer of polymer and applying pressure to remove any bubble that forms. What I do is fill it before putting it back into liquid. I'm just pressing. I think we are at the time when we should review the collars. Why am I doing it right now? To make it easier for me when trimming. I am going to remove a little bit on the incisal part through the palette to our replacement piece. Remember that we have to be wetting the material. We are going with the neck in a natural way. The instrument that I am using is called a Licda. It is one of my favorite instruments with it. What I am doing is removing acrylic in the cervical area to achieve a more natural effect and that the palatal area is not bulbous. Then I review all the necks before the self-curing acrylic. It is an easier way to later make the trimming of the prosthesis. Since it is a small prosthesis at one time, we could give it a final shape this time when the acrylic is in filamentous stages. The neck will be retouched in the palatal area, this time from the distal point of the premolar, which I am going to do as a curve towards the distal of the last piece where our retainer is located. It is here where I managed to remove the acrylic in a simple way and thus prevented the anterior area from lifting. I have to do it very carefully and with the instrument wet with liquid. Now see how the prosthesis looks. It looks super good and it will be easier for me after cutting and polishing it. I'm giving it a smoothing at once to avoid unnecessary elevations. The thickness that I gave it must be that because it is a very small prosthesis, and if it becomes too thin it tends to fracture. The provisional prostheses are built when the dentist is going to perform future extractions to the patient. The dentist sends the model to the laboratory as in the teeth without extracting us. In the laboratory we must remove these pieces of the plaster model simulating an extraction and then elaborate the prosthesis when the time comes for the extraction of the patient. Our work will be in the dental clinic so the dentist can carry out his work and later place the prosthesis and the patient does not leave the dental clinic. We are going to give it a time of approximately 1 hour so that it is fully polymerized. After time passes and we can separate it from our model, and we are going to start cutting the excess acrylic. As you can see, the necks that I had set at the beginning are defined there. For me it is easier to pass it when I am mixing the powder and liquid so that when cutting them I stayed as a guide. After having cut with our cutter and also pre-polishing with some silicone, it is time to polish. In this case we are going to use a material called polyacryl that will eliminate any scratch. Moisten it with water, make a paste and polish. We must hold the prosthesis very well with our hands because we remember that it has 2 ball retainers, and if the rag wheel catches them it could deform them and even destroy the prosthesis. When we are in this procedure we have to be very careful since the speed at which the motor rotates is very large. We also press in a prudent way because if we polish too much we could eliminate the anatomy. The part that contacts the patient's tissue is never polished. It is not touched because it must remain intact to the patient's shape. After we are sure that we remove all the scratches and sharp edges we pass after washing the prosthesis and the area shine. When I polish the prostheses I do it with a material called white Spain. Is a very fine white powder that is bought in hardware stores. I pass lightly and smoothly on the hair wheel and I give it the correct shine. We have reached the final part of the video and I hope you like this tutorial translated into English, thinking about my subscribers from other countries. I want to thank you for your patience, but also understand that at this moment I do not speak English. I had to resort to the Google Translator. I hope you like the translation. Remember that I am taking virtual courses through the Facebook platform. In case you want to communicate with me, you can do it on my social networks.